Banana bread is one of my all-time favorite recipes, and that's what I'm gonna make today. Banana bread with Nutella swirl. So delicious. So let's get started. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we are making banana bread. It's a super simple recipe from my book, Zoebakes Cakes. And I chose it because I have a billion bananas sitting around the house. And I have some that are super ripe, and that is perfect for this recipe. So I don't know about you, but I always have a lot of bananas around, and they are usually in a variety of stages. So for this recipe, we want super ripe yellow bananas with big brown spots all over them. Maybe this is like a little too ripe for you to want to eat, although this is when they have the most flavor. Green ones, don't do it. They have no flavor. In fact, they make your tongue pucker up. So just let those sit and get ripe to make your banana bread. If you're like me and you have 1,000 bananas sitting around, and you don't use them in time, freeze them. Once you freeze the bananas and they defrost, this is what they look like. It's not pretty, but they are delicious. So freeze them, and then you can use them in the recipe just like I'm gonna do now. I'm using these because they're perfect for the recipe. I'm also only going to be making half of the recipe. In the book, it makes 2 loaves. Today, because I already baked one ahead of time, I'm only going to make 1 loaf. This is one of those recipes where I always make 2 loaves because one disappears immediately, and then we have one for the next day, or you can bring it to a neighbor. I like to mash my bananas with a potato masher as opposed to pureeing them super fine, because I want like some small chunks of banana in the banana bread. This is totally up to you. If you want to puree your bananas, go for it. Both ways are gonna work and be delicious. But I just use this little potato masher that I got in college, and I just mash up my bananas so that it's mostly mush, but that there are some whole pieces of banana in there. You want it pretty well mashed though, so that it's kind of almost turns to liquid in here. And if your bananas are ripe enough, this will happen pretty quickly. Okay, look at that. So some of it is like liquefied, but you can also see some pieces of whole banana in there, and that for me is perfect. And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna mix all of our wet ingredients together. So I have melted butter in my big bowl here. I'm gonna add my brown sugar. You'll see that I covered it because I don't want it to dry out. Otherwise, it doesn't mix in as well. So our brown sugar goes right into the mix. I just find the brown sugar adds a really nice flavor to the bread instead of using granulated sugar. It just gives it like a richness. And then I have 1 egg for the half batch. That goes into our bowl along with our banana and our milk. I made a discovery about this recipe that I really like it with buttermilk. So it's written for whole milk, but adding the buttermilk, I really love the results. So you can do it either way, whichever one you happen to have in the house. And then we'll whisk together our dry ingredients. So I have all-purpose flour, baking powder, and baking soda, and salt. Both the baking powder and baking soda because bananas are heavy and I don't want this bread to be dense, so I want it to have a nice lift to it. And so I'm using the power of some baking soda in with my baking powder. Okay, and then just blend all that together. I like to use the spatula instead of the whisk because it'll just get stuck in the tines of the whisk. I'm gonna just stir this together until it's nice and uniform. That's it. Oh, a little glug of vanilla right in there. Can't forget that. And that's it. We made banana bread. Super, super simple. Okay, so now I'm gonna bake it. There's two ways in the book. I have just a plain, simple, delicious banana bread, or you can swirl Nutella into it. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. You need to have your pan prepared. I just took an 8x4-inch loaf pan, sprayed it with a little bit of baking spray, and then put a parchment paper down on the bottom so that I can use it as a sling to get the loaf out of the pan. It just gives you a little bit of an assurance that your loaf is gonna lift right out. And then I use these metal clips to just keep my paper steady and from sort of curling over into the loaf. I'm gonna put about 1/3 of my batter into the pan. A little more, okay. And then I'm gonna take my Nutella that I melted in the microwave just for about 20 seconds. And I'm gonna use a spoon, just make sure that it's nice and soft and spreadable so that it sort of drizzles. And I'm gonna make 2 lines of the Nutella onto my batter. Just like that. So just like that. And then I'm gonna put another 1/3 of my batter right over the Nutella so that I'm sort of encasing it into the pan. Just like that. And then we'll repeat with more Nutella. Just trying to get it as even as possible so that every single bite has some of it in it. And then we'll do the same, cover that up. And then we finish up with the last of our Nutella on top. 2 more lines over the top of it. Okay, and then the last of our Nutella here. Then the last thing that you want to do is make the Nutella into beautiful swirls. My favorite tool for doing that is a chopstick. It has just about the right thickness that it sort of pulls at the Nutella and the batter, but it doesn't blend it too much. So the thin end of a chopstick, and I'm just gonna go all the way down to the bottom, because remember we have those lines of Nutella all the way through, and I'm just gonna go back and forth, and you kind of get this like marbled effect, and it swirls it into the batter. That's it. Super simple. Now we're gonna bake it in an oven that's preheated to 350 degrees for about 45 to 50 minutes. I'm going to put this onto a baking sheet so that the bottom of it doesn't over bake. And then we'll come back and try it. All right, this is the fun part. We get to try it. So once your loaf is done, I really recommend you testing it with a cake tester or a skewer or a toothpick right in the center where it's the thickest, and go all the way down and make sure that it's not still wet inside. The first test I do is just to tap it in the oven and make sure that it's not still jiggling. Every oven is different, and so the time is a suggestion. It may take more time than I had suggested or less, depending on your oven, but this is your final tester. Let it cool off a little bit, and now we get to eat it. So it looks delicious. I like that crusty end, but I want to show you the inside where we're gonna have the layers of the Nutella on the inside. So there we go. You can see the bits of Nutella that are sort of swirled through the bread. And it's nice and moist, and it smells delicious. Yum. It's so good. It's really tender. It's not too dense, but it has a really great texture to it. And you can really taste the intensity of the banana because I use those super ripe bananas. They're really sweet. They have an intense flavor. And then the swirl of Nutella is just perfection. Thank you for joining me. Please subscribe to my channel and tell all of your friends and come back and bake with me some more. Thank you. Okay.
You're all set.
All right. Okay, it's been a minute. Okay. Hi, I'm Zoe Francois and welcome to Zoe Bakes and my kitchen. Today we are going to make banana bread. Get your bag of chips. Okay. Hi, I'm Zoe Francois and
And you have chocolate all over your other hand.
and my shirt.
I'm a piglet.
Hi, I'm Zoe Francois and welcome to Zoe Bakes in my kitchen. Today I am making banana bread.